This is Rating Descending,
where we watch IMDb's Worst 250 so you don't have to.
My name is Abigail Ward.
And I'm Michelle St. Clair.
And tonight we're watching Hannah Montana, the movie. As Hannah Montana's popularity begins to take over her life, Miley Stewart, on the urging from her father, takes a trip to her hometown of Crowley Corners, Tennessee, to get some perspective on what matters in life the most. Let's watch.
Actually, I saw something this morning that
That's great.
Oh my gosh.
What'd you see, Michelle?
I said that it really rattled and frustrated me because it was someone talking about Scott Pilgrim and they were going to make a whole series of TikToks about representation in Scott Pilgrim. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm a big fan of the movie, even if the second half of it doesn't fulfill the promise of the first. I'm an even bigger fan of the comics where the second half of it really outdoes any other quadrant of any of the associated media. And I do also know that it has issues and flaws, some of which are addressed in the text, some of which aren't, right? But we can talk about ways to do things like that better. But so many of the comments on it were people being like, oh, now we're gonna problematize old movies. I'm like, old movies? That's 2010, motherfucker.
It's a decade old though, isn't it?
No, I get that it's a decade old, but we're watching in real time youth doing what we did to the 90s and 80s, where we go ooh, that's a bit problematic, but it's fine because it's old. I remember 2010. Things were still shitty then. We were still calling out awful shit. We can't dismiss that as old so we can't address it.
I agree. Fuck all this serious talk, am I right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about piss and farts.
Oh my God. What do you want to talk about when it comes to piss and farts?
There's so many things I want to talk about when it comes to piss and farts.
Pick one of them.
One thing to talk about
one
with piss and farts.
/ fart related a thing.
Fuck. Oh, no. My favorite thing about piss and farts is that they're always unique to me. You know, my piss is always my piss. No one else's piss.
That's true.
It's not your piss.
That's true with literally anything you make, though. It's yours.
True.
You made it.
Everything that comes out of my body is mine.
Well,
Yeah.
even things you make with your hands.
Nope. Not mine. I stole that from you.
No, what?
I'm literally stealing something from you right now. This is my coffee cup now. This is mine.
That's my favorite one.
Sorry, it's mine now. This is your favorite cup?
Well, you might have
Smash.
noticed that. Oh, fuck.
Who's in charge? For this episode, who's in charge?
Abby.
Yeah, that's right.
Abby.
Smash.
Oh.
Smash.
Except it's now Michelle's episode. And we're not doing Hannah Montana.
You hijacked the episode.
Yeah. Now we're going to do my favorite movie.
My favorite movie. That's obviously the one podcast I listen to.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie, Michelle? You know, we've never talked about that on this podcast, what we actually
God.
like.
Yeah.
It's all this film sucked, I hate movies. What's your favorite movie, Michelle?
I think over the last few years, because what's your favorite movie is hard when you watch a lot of movies because you're it depends on my mood. It depends on what time of when you've asked me. My go-to, because it's the first thing that comes to my brain every time someone asks, is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Really?
It's exactly the kind of movie that I like in that it's kind of funny, but it's also kind of sad. It's playing around with your head, but it's not trying to outsmart you. It doesn't think it's smart. It thinks it's just being honest. I love movies that are desperately honest. And then on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, I honestly think The Last Jedi is one of my favorite movies. Because I love Star Wars. I love big opera bullshit. It
Camp
feels
dumb fun.
It feels honest in a completely different way.
Yeah.
Because by wearing its heart so obviously on its sleeve, you're not searching for meaning. We're all on the same page and it feels joyful and triumphant and wonderful. And it's a movie about failing and moving on. I love that theme. I'd say those are my two favorite movies.
That's really good. That's really lovely. I think for me, my tie is always between Once Upon a Time in America and Once Upon a Time in the West. Once Upon a Time in the West because it's just the coolest film ever.
It is.
And then Once Upon a Time in America because it's just the most beautiful, nostalgic, sad film ever. I love them so much. They're always juggling for number one.
Once Upon a Time in America is probably the best movie ever made.
Yeah.
But it also...
And then people sleep on it for whatever the fuck reason. It's completely underrated, I find.
Well, wasn't it like butchered in its first cut?
Yeah,
Like,
when it was released, the producers were like, this is too long and we don't like it, so we're going to cut it into what we think will work better. And they released that, and Leone died with his magnum opus being butchered by the production company. But then years later, his wife was like, I remember his vision, I remember his edit, I'm going to find it and I'm going to recreate it and I'm going to redistribute it. So she did. So when it came out, it wasn't panned, but most critics were like, oh, it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
When she recut it and sent it out into the world, they were like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
This was amazing. The guy was a genius.
it sucks because if it was like 20 years later, they would have just done a Kill Bill where it was the same thing. It's like, this is too long. Let's just make it 2 parts. And that is
Yeah.
a movie that is ripe for 2 parts.
I agree, especially
Yeah.
because 4 hours is intimidating. You know,
Yeah.
when people are like, what's your favorite movie? I want to watch it. I'm like, it's 4 hours
Yeah.
long. Like,
We've
if you
got to
have
watch
half
2
a day.
movies back to back.
Exactly. So I'm very like self-conscious of that. And even Once Upon a Time in the West is like 3 hours long. They're both massive, long, slow epics, but they're so beautiful.
I love Once
He takes
Upon a
his
Time in the
time.
West.
Yeah.
I use one of those scenes in one of my classes because I love it. I do describe it as the coolest movie ever made.
Yeah, it really is. The fucking harmonica scenes.
Yeah.
Every entrance is so grandiose and so ridiculous.
Well, it's the same thing I'm talking about where like it's opera. Like it's not subtle.
Yeah.
But it's still clever.
Yeah.
You can be smart without having to hide your text. I feel like Bong Joon-ho is introducing that concept better into the West because a lot of like Korean cinema really does that. It goes like, I'm not going to hide it. There's layers of it.
Yeah.
But you get what's going on.
Yeah, I was thinking about how the plot of Once Upon a Time in the West is so simple. It's not like convoluted, it's not long, it's just that the film takes its time.
Yeah.
And everything is well explained and pretty understandable. It's just, the film is grandiose and epic because he's directed it that way. That film could have been told in an hour and a half, much quicker.
Yeah.
But he decided to draw it out and give it these like moments of like gravity and coolness. I love
Yeah.
it so much. But, you know, if you guys haven't seen Once Upon a Time in America, please go watch that because that fucking film is beautiful. You'll be shocked that you haven't seen it before. It's like if you like Goodfellas, if you like any crime film, if you like Scorsese, you will like this movie.
But you got to watch the longest cut you can find because that's the real
That's
edit.
the real edit, the 4-hour one.
Yeah. There's one that's like 4 hours and 2 minutes. And then there's one that's like 3 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then there's like the 2.5 hour one.
Yeah.
It's rubbish.
So good.
Yeah.
So special. Well, that's our favorite films, guys. What are we watching next week, Michelle?
Next week, we're watching Robin Hood with Russell Crowe. It's not a good one.
Ooh, not even like Robin Hood Men in Tights, the Mel Brooks
I do love that
classic.
movie. Yeah.
There's something about Carrie Elwes. He just like fucking tore it up in the 90s.
Yeah.
He was just the lead man in every comedy.
He's also the kind of person, I don't know, like he was funny and he's good, but knowing that he's literally like a member of the nobility makes me go, oh,
Yeah, I get that.
yeah.
Richness is unattractive.
Well,
If you're rich, like fuck you, but also hit me up.
it's one thing when it's like, oh, their grandfather was an actor. And I'm like, okay, like that is a systemic advantage, but also I'll forgive it. But it's another thing where it's like, literally for potentially centuries, you have been granted by a king or queen a title that is better than regular people. Fuck that.
Yeah.
The only good noble is Christopher Guest, who spent his whole lifetime of being a lord trying to not make anyone a lord and trying to make no one a
love
lord.
Christopher Guest.
Love
The
him
other
so
good
much.
noble is Donna from Doctor Who.
Well, that's
Goes without
not
saying,
the
doesn't
same.
it? The best companion.
it's not what I'm talking about.
Also, my other favorite film, apart from those two,
Oh,
is
fuck, bitch has 3.
yeah, I've got 3. Is Hannah Montana the movie?
Well, okay, yeah, it's a
It's
good
very
segue.
special to me.
That's
it's not a
great.
segue. Is that what we're doing this week?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's a relief. I thought we were doing Once Upon a Time in the West. I'm so confused.
Which sucks because I did not watch it.
Fuck! It is 3 hours long.
Yeah. Guys, I didn't really watch the movie that we're doing this week. But
Why would you need to? You're a bad bitch. You didn't subscribe to this bullshit. Fuck, that was a big bra snap. Oh, yeah. You like that, you little bitch?
I think my bra's a little too loose. It like always goes on my shoulder. Like, look at this.
Can you not tighten it?
This is as tight as it goes.
Oh, fuck. Get a new bra.
Yeah.
It's just old.
It's just, oh, yeah, it's just old. Do you ever... Okay, I know I have a real problem with mimicry, where someone or something will make a noise and I'll just repeat it back to them. I feel like
You're a lyrebird in disguise.
someone will go like, "Ma," just as like an ambient noise, and I'll just go, "Ma."
Yeah. Sometimes I'll say something and you'll say it back to me as well. You really do that. I'm like, yeah, because you didn't know. And you're like, yeah, he didn't know. And I'm like, yeah, he didn't know.
I don't know why I do that. Can someone who understands mental health better understand why I mimic the noises thrown at me?
Yeah. But this week we did Hannah Montana, the movie, which is very exciting. We've had a lot of people looking forward to this one because a lot of our friends are millennials and a lot of our friends had Foxtel and Hannah Montana half raised them. So I get it. I feel bad because like Death Note and other things recently, to be honest, we slept on Hannah Montana. I barely watched it. You watched a little bit of it.
No. I watched a lot of it.
You watched a lot of it?
Okay, so the whole thing was that like when I was actively watching like Disney Channel and Nickelodeon and stuff, that was like the Lizzie McGuire era. And I feel like Hannah Montana was part of that newer era with like the Sweet Life and
It was,
stuff.
and also Lizzie McGuire was on free-to-air TV because I could watch that whenever.
But I have a younger sister. So I was watching kids shows until I was like 17.
And I had an older brother. So by the time I was like fucking 11, I was like, nah, I'm into Quentin Tarantino too. Reservoir Dogs is the coolest film ever.
Yeah, no, I was watching like they're kids sitcoms, and I was watching those until I was an adult because of my sister Chelsea.
Yeah, so you have seen a bit of Hannah Montana.
I've seen a substantial enough portion.
That's good, yeah, because I've barely seen it. I think I might have seen a glimpse of one episode once where Hannah gets pimples.
Yeah.
And then she like makes a big thing where she's like, I get pimples. And it's fine. And everyone's like, whoa.
I think I'd rank it like if A tier is like Lizzie McGuire, That's So Raven,
That
which I
is
thought was
A-tier,
really fucking
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It was part of the B tier.
Interesting.
Like, I don't think it wasn't bad. It was pretty good, but I don't think it ever hit the heights.
Michelle, just watch your fucking mouth.
I'm sorry.
Okay?
I'm so
because
sorry.
like I feel like a lot of Hannah Montana fans might be tuning in for this one and just watch
that's
your
true.
fucking mouth.
I
We
thought
love
was
it.
S tier, best tier.
Amazing. Disney at its finest.
Yeah.
No, it was a very charming little film and strange introduction to the world of Hannah Montana.
I would describe it as having a charm.
Yes, but not charming.
I wouldn't describe it as charming.
Charming suggests that the whole thing is encompassed by charm.
Yeah.
This just had a certain amount of charm.
Charming implies that I was charmed by it, which I don't think I was.
No, I get why other people would love this. And that's the thing about this movie. I find it weird that it's on this list because it is exactly what it is. Like, it knew its purpose.
Yeah.
It delivered that purpose. No one thought Hannah Montana the movie was going to be fucking Oscar bait.
Going in, I knew, like, it's probably on this list because people hate everything that teenage girls like.
Teenage girls are so invalidated in everything. And I've been very cautious about my research in this episode because instead of including a bunch of reviews like slamming this movie, I'm like, fuck you. You all know what this movie's for. Stop shaming young girls for enjoying stuff.
What are young girls allowed to like? If they liked things like Hannah Montana, they were made fun of as basic. If they like things like video games and they're made fun of as posers.
Yeah.
If they go, I'm not like other girls, and they're criticized for being too indie. Like,
If
what
they're
the fuck are they
tomboys,
allowed
they're
to do?
criticized for trying to be different. And if they wear makeup, they're criticized for being sluts. Like, they're just constantly criticized.
We
They're
just
constantly
hate
judged.
teenage girls.
We do. Fucking protect them. And I get why Hannah Montana was so fun as a teenager.
Yeah.
If I was 12, it would have blown my fucking mind. If I saw that opening sequence where she's singing Best of Both Worlds and she's a fucking superstar in a glittery dress, if I was 10 and I saw that, my mind would have just exploded.
I would have liked it when I was a kid, but I don't think it's good. I don't think it's as good. I really liked Kim Possible, which was on that same time. Yeah.
What's the sitch?
Kim Possible had 2 movies. The first one was like pretty good. The second one though, which was the real like movie, was really genuinely good. I bet it holds up as an adult. Like, it's a pretty good movie. This is not that. And I also don't think it's as good as the Lizzie McGuire movie.
Nothing compares to the Lizzie McGuire movie. Like, I want to put up a poll of the Hannah Montana movie versus the Lizzie McGuire movie because I'm going to do that today. I'm absolutely sure Lizzie McGuire will win.
Well, I feel like you just also have to add an age breakdown because again, I think it's just going to be like that 3 to 5 year difference in ages that is going to determine it.
Just like, I know this is about Hannah Montana, but can we just take a moment to talk about the Lizzie McGuire movie? Because it's not on this list for good reason, because it's exceptional.
It's too critically acclaimed.
If I find out in a year it actually is on the list, I'll scream. Be
Lower
like,
than
take
this.
that fucking episode down. But what a magical movie. Italy, romance, cool outfits. She's a pop star too, but not really. She really is a normal girl. Like, there's just so much charm to it. That is a charming movie. If you say otherwise, Michelle, because I can see the way you're looking at me with a sense of cynicism and judgment, if you say otherwise, we're done. This episode is over. It is finished. Try me.
It's not a good movie.
Or smash more cups.
We're allowed to also to like things that we know are flawed pieces of cinema.
I 100%. I like so much shit cinema. I like so many bad movies. I'm here like talking my mouth off being like, fucking, this is bad for this reason. And objectively, this is a shit film. And then I'm like, but I love Eagle vs. Shark by Taika Waititi.
I always see it as like, when people ask like what kind of movies you're into, right? I always see it as like, it's less about you only like X and Y genre. It's more about what your tolerance for that genre is. Like, I don't dislike musicals. I like musicals, but I probably wouldn't like an 8 out of 10 musical. I probably need it to be a really good musical to bother with it.
Yeah.
But I really like sci-fi. If it has like big robots, I'll probably watch it if it's a 6.5.
Such a little nerd.
But I don't like superhero movies, so it probably needs to be like a 9 for me to actually enjoy it.
Sweet little
like,
nerd, Michelle.
you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's our tolerance values for the genres more than it is like, I only like this.
But the Hannah Montana movie was bad. It really was bad. It was stupid. It was cringy.
Yeah.
Like, I think even if it did blow my mind, there would have been scenes where I'm like, I can't watch this. Also, 2 straight, white, young kids kissing is just like
So-
the epitome of cringe for me. I think I was gagging when we were watching their scenes.
This is probably the straightest movie so far. Like, it exudes straight energy.
It was awful. I'm gonna give you
pervasive.
the overview of this straight energy movie so we can just
Yeah.
launch straight into it. 4.5 stars on IMDb, and it was made in 2009. It was directed by Peter Chelsom, who also did other subpar things, a couple of rom-coms here and there, and written by Dan Berendsen, who I think writes for a lot of kids' TV. Here is my little overview. It sucks, just like the movie. Hannah Montana is at new heights in her career and is continually stalked by reporters and paparazzi. When she messes up Lily's birthday party, her father, Robbie Ray, thinks that Miley needs to reconnect with her roots. After promising to take her to New York, Robbie Ray flies Miley home to Crowley Corners, Tennessee. Her mother and her slowly reconnect with her old life, and she encounters a farmhand named Travis that she grew up with. Robbie Ray and a local woman named Lorelai begin to fall in love. As Miley begins to shed her Hannah-isms, she has to throw off a British reporter looking for Hannah's real identity. Miley is forced to invite Hannah to town to perform at a charity benefit to save Crowley Corners. Lily arrives as Hannah to throw off the reporters. Miley and Travis arrange a date, right as Lorelai asks Hannah to be the guest of honor at the mayor's dinner. Miley struggles between the two events, and Travis ends up finding out that she and Hannah are the same person. Miley and Travis reconnect, and Robbie Ray and Lorelai kiss. At the charity benefit, Miley throws off her Hannah wig and announces her real identity. She performs the climb, and the town agrees to keep a secret as Miley. That's the end.
Yeah.
What a dumb movie.
It was dumb. I said this while we were watching, but the irony is not lost on me that this is a movie about like being your true self and wanting to exist outside of like a big fame system. But it's also produced by Disney as a very cynical attempt to make a particular person very, very famous.
Yeah.
Like, that's not lost on me at all.
Yeah. Also, like, I want to talk about Miley Cyrus.
Okay.
I think she's a really wonderful person. I think she's really interesting, and I think that she got completely, like, bogged down by the fact that she was in Hannah Montana, because as soon as she became an adult, people were like criticizing her for like being outspoken and being a person and being sexual, and we were like, she's a child star, as if that limits your capacity as an adult. And I love that she broke free of that and really like cultivated her own personality outside of Hannah Montana. I am a fan of Miley Cyrus. I really like her. I think she's a really interesting public figure, and she's fucking chaotic.
She came very, very close to getting Lindsay Lohan or Britney Spears of like, once getting out of Disney, it being so traumatizing that you spiral too far and kind of find it hard to come back from.
The ultimate like product of that, Amanda Bynes.
Oh, yeah.
Amanda Bynes is just this like tragic figure now. 'Cause she
Yeah.
really did have multiple mental breaks.
And she was genuinely really funny. She was a good comedic
so
talent.
talented,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, Amanda Bynes walked so Miley could run, you know? The Amanda
different.
Bynes show was so fucking charming.
It was.
That's like true. That's true millennial shit right there.
Yeah.
Early millennial shit.
Yeah.
The Amanda Bynes show, man, with Drake Bell.
But yeah, Miley, I feel like there was a period where people thought that we were watching that happen again.
Yeah.
But then she just totally took control of her life.
Yeah.
That's great.
And every time she gets criticized, I love the fact that she has this kind of like fuck you attitude. Like she
Yeah.
really doesn't give a shit. And I love that. To be honest, if I was Miley Cyrus, I would have that same incredible confidence because she got to play a pop star and then become a pop star.
Yeah.
Like the story of Hannah Montana is the story of Miley Cyrus.
And-
it's a crazy existence. And I'm also shocked she ended up being a semi-normal person because of it.
I mean, not all of the people that we listed beforehand have Dolly Parton as a godmother, as like steering their life. So like,
Yeah.
I'm sure if Britney Spears had Dolly Parton instead of her dad, maybe things would be different.
Oh, that's so sad. And if Amanda Bynes had like, apparently, okay, I was reading this fascinating thing. Sorry, just really quickly. I was reading this fascinating thing about how Amanda Bynes had to have multiple personalities to get through life, to
Yeah,
cope.
yeah.
How she used to have like a interview personality and a performing personality and an Amanda personality when she was offset. Like she had all these personalities for different parts of her life and then she couldn't remember who was who. And it started just fucking up her sense of self. And she also got into this incredibly abusive, unstable relationship where she was seeking validation and love from one particular person and couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And it kept fucking up her sense of self and she kept changing her identities. And that's why she had like this schizophrenic break because she had this personality disorder that grew out of the fact that she was a child star.
Yeah. It's
So sad.
It's a series of people who need support and mental health treatment who aren't given anything so that they can be more famous and make more money.
Yeah, I was thinking about the fact that Miley Cyrus was 16 years old when they filmed this.
Yeah.
When I was 16 years old, I was strange looking. I was incredibly shy. I was very insecure. I can't imagine being a child star and being 16. You are too young for the world.
Yeah.
You should be hidden away at 16. No one should be in the spotlight as
in
a
a
child.
dark cave.
I think there should be a new law, like no one's allowed to act until they're 18 and over.
You're in the what we will call the social cave, the societal cave, until at 17 you emerge into the world. But really, you like emerge into the world for like 1 month and then you go back, and then this keeps going until you're like 23, and then you go for 12 months, and then you're a year outside and you just keep going.
I think that's really smart. I think that like, yeah, I think when we're born, we should be hidden away in caves until we're
Yeah.
18. And then we're slowly reintroduced into society, but we can barely talk. We're on all fours. We have fur covering us.
It's like a vault in Fallout, but optional. We do it on purpose.
Yeah. It's to protect the children. What better way to protect children than by sheltering them from everything?
Yeah.
Every life experience. So what I'm saying is we shackle them to walls. We barely feed them.
Yeah.
We barely talk to them. We don't let them talk to each other. And we leave them there for 18 years.
I think that's healthy.
Like they get to be in their own little cell, very cute. And then we like slide through a little plate of food 3 times a day. And that's it.
Do
until
you
you're
worry
18.
that we are now cultivating a new race of goblins?
Goblins.
The goblin children will come and take over.
The goblin children will be stronger than all of us.
The goblin children will rise.
The goblin children will feast.
We did this bit. We get to talk about the actual content of this movie because
Yes.
it's so fucking bonkers.
It's bananas. It's bananas. But Miley Cyrus, I think, did a good job in the film. I think she is very charming.
I think she did as good a job as the movie deserved. There we go.
Let's talk about the love interest.
Okay,
Because I want to talk about
start
Travis,
there. We'll start
played
there.
by Lucas Till, who, by the way, I think was dating Taylor Swift at the time, who
Oh.
had a cameo in this film.
Yeah.
The love interest to me was the worst part of the film. I
Yeah.
couldn't watch the scenes together. The first moment he shows up, she's lost her horse, Blue Jeans. He's running off, and then you hear this like,
go back. Her horse that she owns, blue jeans. I just wanted to take a moment to emphasize everything about that.
Yeah. It gallops off, and then like she hears galloping coming up behind her, and she turns around in this like weird slow motion shot where it's like 3 different aspects or 3 different views of her hair whipping around, and it's a white boy with blonde hair on a horse.
I know.
And he has a strong, defined jaw, and he looks a bit like a cute manlet. And that is her love interest. And his name is Travis.
There was so much build up. And then we see him and I was just like, it's just a man. It's just a guy.
In a little cowboy hat.
It's just a blonde man.
And the whole like farmer look is not hot. It's not hot.
I think he made it less hot. The farmer look can be hot.
I think it's not hot because like when I see it, I just think, I'm sure they vote Republican. For sure.
Almost every single cast member in this movie, if this came out in 2020... would have been absolutely radicalized into white supremacy.
100%.
That's the terrifying thing.
Like, that Travis stormed the Capitol a couple of weeks ago.
But I bet in the 90s, they probably all voted Democrat because of the whole weird radicalization of rural areas that's going on. But that's way bigger than the context of this episode.
Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
Travis was awkward as fuck, and his whole storyline with Miley. I love the fact that, like, Hannah is kind of, like, trying to come on to him, and he's like, do you think Miley would let me, like, ask her out? And he has this, like, disgusting wishy-washy bit where he's just, like, smiling to himself about Miley. And I think I went, and then he asks her out and they have a little date together.
Yeah. Which is also odd.
It is. I had a bit about this and I totally forgot.
Well, they're at, like, a date at a restaurant. He's wearing a suit. I mean, look, I'm not so far removed from being 16 that I don't remember that you do kind of play at being adult and do things like that because you think it's nice and the people around you probably think it's weird and cringy. But, like, it is a normal part of growing up. It's still odd. It's still... I don't remember teenagers being that fussy so much. They sort of, like, fuss with the way that they are, but I'm also a very fussy person, so I guess I can't judge.
Yeah. I've definitely gone on like teenage dates where we're both trying to be adults and dress up for it.
Yeah.
Wear a suit and wear a dress. But also I loved in the finale when he realizes that she's Hannah, when they're in that weird revolving door in slow-mo, and then he just sees her and she's holding the wig and she's looking at him. And I was joking that the rest of the movie would just be her in this slow revolving door processing her emotions, and then it just hard cuts to black.
She's trapped in the revolving door. Her dad comes in and starts like talking, but it's all in slow-mo and she's responding back. She performs the concert but still walking around the revolving door holding the wig.
Yeah. Again, I couldn't stand this. I think if I was 12, I also couldn't stand this relationship. I just get cringy so easily when it comes to romance on screen. And these two really just like were the cherry on top of that cake. However, in the Lizzie McGuire movie,
oh my God,
Lizzie and Gordo's romance, well earned. That is a build up throughout the season. It makes sense. It's beautiful. Travis is not in the Hannah Montana show, nor does he return because this movie came between season 3 and 4.
Oh.
They thought this would be the end of Hannah Montana, and at the last minute during filming, they signed off on season 4.
So weird.
Travis did not come back for season 4.
No,
they may have lightly mentioned him in the first episode, but he is pretty much instantly forgotten. Yeah. Same as Lorelai, by the way. Lorelai, Robbie Ray's love interest, does not return.
Well, maybe that's because they're not in Tennessee anymore. I don't think either of them wanted to move back to Malibu.
It just means that after all of that build-up and all of that romance, they were just like a summer fling for 2 weeks and then they fucked off back to Malibu.
Hey, I just had a thought. I just had a question.
That's amazing.
Thank you. You're the one who did the research because I can't remember. The reporter is going to try and find Hannah Montana's real identity because of finding out that she's from wherever.
But she has a secret and that she's from Crowley Corners.
But does everyone think Hannah Montana's a real person, or do they know that she's a pseudonym?
I think they think she's a real person called Hannah Montana.
Because if I then saw Miley in a different dress and with a wig, I don't know if I would, especially in a revolving door, I don't know if my first assumption would be, oh, you are Hannah Montana.
True.
Like, I feel like we're missing a logic leap told by the people who think that Hannah Montana is a distinct person.
Yeah, it's like, say, like Lady Gaga came to town and you had vaguely said you knew her because you were friends with her, which was a huge shock because I didn't know you were friends with her.
Yeah.
And then I saw you in a revolving door holding an elaborate wig and like you were in full Gaga dress, like
I can't
a
even
ridiculous
tell
gown.
that it's a Hannah Montana wig.
Yeah.
Also,
I wouldn't automatically assume, oh shit, you were Lady Gaga the whole time.
He doesn't know what Hannah Montana was wearing that day either.
True.
He just saw Miley with a blonde wig.
That's such a good point. What the fuck?
If I saw someone I met in a dress with a wig, I wouldn't go, "You're actually that famous pop star." That would be nuts.
What the fuck?
It is an insane assumption to make.
Also, let's talk about that fucking British reporter.
Yeah,
that was
okay.
such a stupid plot line. I love the fact that like Disney has this weird stunted view of what British people are like.
But when it comes to how ruthless British tabloid reporters are, they are 100% right.
This is true.
Except at the end where he decides to defend Miley, because they would literally sell their grandmother for feet pics of Meghan, the Princess Harry's
Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle.
Meghan.
I couldn't remember her name because she's not relevant. She's a pretty good actor who is married to someone who, as according to how England works, God said is more important than everyone else in England apart from his older brother, dad, and grandma.
Not even dad. It's his older brother. Oh, yes. It is his dad. I was like, Prince Philip's not that important.
Given that the way that England works is that the head of state is the Queen and the Queen is given her right by God, you could argue it's a bit of a theocracy.
Yeah. Also, the Queen, like, I've watched The Crown, so I'm pretty well versed in this. But like, it is wild that like Queen Elizabeth does believe that. Like, she does believe that she is like divine, that she was sent down by God to rule the country. She's an incredibly religious woman.
Yeah.
And she believes in that. In that, she believes that she is God's choice, and she believes that her children are God's choice.
Yeah.
And that fucks me up sometimes.
Well, the Queen basically gives us permission to form our own government.
Yeah.
From her own goodwill.
Yeah.
Fuck that. This is not the conversation I was expecting to have in Hannah Montana, the movie.
I love it. You're wildly political today. It's like, how are you, Michelle? And you're like, let me tell you about this Scott Pilgrim thing 10 years ago, right? And my little morning brain's like, shut up. I want to talk about piss and farts.
Oh, by the way, I really wanted to talk about the opening of this movie. Because the whole thing, her fame is getting too much and she starts acting in ways that are not very Miley. She's acting like a superstar. Oh, wow. And then, people keep insisting like this is meant to be why you do this, is you're best of both worlds. You're really famous and also you're a normal person. Although it seems like really she's having the worst of both worlds more than anything. Also, she bonks her head like 4 separate times.
She does.
With a big solid boom.
Yeah.
Kind of noise. Like girl has a concussion.
She's just clumsy.
She smacks her head into a steel pipe and then a coconut drops in her head.
Yeah.
She has a concussion. But like as part of that opening, she's fleeing from the tabloid reporter because she's late to her friend Lily's 16th birthday. And by the way, Lily for her birthday has theme park rides.
Malibu man.
A big skate.
These are
ramp,
Malibu kids.
as well as a band. Like, I did not realize how fabulously wealthy Lily is.
That was probably a modest party for them as well.
Oh, Jesus.
We'll keep it simple.
Anyway, she shows up as Hannah, not as Miley, because she can't give away her secret, and takes all the attention away from Lily, which, by the way, as I said while we're watching, if she, as a teenager, had Hannah Montana, who is meant to be held up to the same sort of like A-list pop star as we're meant to believe, at her birthday, like the social credibility she gains is enormous. It's like having Beyonce at your birthday.
Fuck.
But she's mad because all the attention is taken away from her and it's her birthday. And she says to Hannah Montana on stage, I will never forgive you for this.
Yeah.
And then the next time we see her is about like 30 minutes later, and she's arrived helping Miley, and she's like, "That's fine."
Yeah. She's like, don't even worry about it. I would never, like, we're always going to be friends. And we were like, what? I thought this film was going to be about her trying to reconnect with Lily somehow.
I will never forgive you for this. It's been like,
remember when you're 16 and you say that weird shit to your friends? I'll never forget being 16 because I was the fucking worst. I was angsty. I was emotional. I had fights with my friends for no reason, just to spice up my day at school. I remember we'd be on a fight and I'd be like, I'm never talking to her again. And then at the end of the day, we'd be like, sup, we're cool. We're chill now. Being 16 is volatile and scary. So you know what? I get it. A true, authentic piece of cinema at last. 10 out of 10 is my rating.
Well, she also is then meant to, she thinks she's flying to New York in her private jet, but Robbie has actually made it fly to Tennessee, which, as far as I understand, is a vastly shorter difference. I don't know why she thought it was that short. Also, I assume that means she never looked out the window as well. I don't know how she was surprised until she got out of the plane.
She's just too caught up in her own world.
Like if
silly, fickle Miley.
If she looked out the window while they were landing, she would have seen not an airport, which is why she would have been like, oh, obviously, this is actually fucking rural Tennessee.
Also, I love that the grandma is played by
Margot Martindale.
Fucking BoJack has made her infamous. She really would have flown under the radar forever if BoJack hadn't pointed out the fact that she's an incredible actress that's appeared in almost everything.
So, just to repeat, she's played by acclaimed character actress Margot Martindale. Who I've seen play sweet Southern mother in 3 different things.
What were the other things?
Walk Hard, which is the John C. Reilly, Judd Apatow comedy thing, and a couple episodes of New Girl. She plays Nick's mum.
Oh.
But she's in Chicago, but she's still Southern.
Interesting. Interesting indeed.
And she's also obsessed with Elvis in all 3 of those roles.
Why? Is that like a Margot thing and they're just like, fucking keep it in? I think it's an inside joke.
I think it's what they think overweight Southern women like.
They're not wrong. I didn't question it. But also the fact that they also had Jan from The Office playing Lorelai.
Yes!
I found it really hard to not think about her as Jan throughout the entire thing.
Leave her alone, Robbie Ray.
I couldn't unsee the dinner party episode of The Office where she's just drunk singing, that night you made everything all right.
I forgot her like the second moment we see her is Robbie Ray's getting someone to fix his car or tractor or something. And then we see someone in like a full boiler suit and like welding mask. And then he's like, oh, hey, how you going? And then she pulls up the mask. Her beautiful blonde hair still flowing everywhere. Not safe. Not adhering to work health and safety. And she's like, oh, yeah, it's me. And he's like, huh.
A woman.
He says everything but a woman.
Like, a female mechanic.
And if it sounds like I'm overplaying it, it's like a full 30 seconds of like they keep interacting and every one of his lines is preceded and followed by wow. Yeah. Like he's so sharp.
It's very confronting when women are useful and good at things.
Yeah,
I don't blame him.
That's true.
She can't be sexy and helpful. It's one or the other.
It's one or the other.
Yeah, that was a silly like thing as well because like Miley was really upset by the idea of Robbie Ray and Lorelai not working out throughout the entire film. That was also a weird arc where he's like, you got to pursue it, Dad. You got to stop putting me first. You got to put your love life first. And then it turns out after the film, he fucks off back to Malibu and abandons Lorelai anyway.
That's a sad ending, but I will say, like, as a child of divorce, like when your parent is single for a long time, you do kind of want to see them succeed in romantic relationships.
Hit you hard?
Like, yeah, I remember when I was like 16 and my mum started dating again. I was like, fucking go out there. I hope this works.
No,
like,
I mean,
go
the
do
Hannah
it.
Montana movie hit you hard in this respect.
Yeah, it felt like it punched me right in the mouth.
I get that.
Right on my mouth. It punched me onto my mouth. Like my mouth was like, but I couldn't because there was still a fist there because I was punched right on my mouth.
Who
by
was doing
divorce.
the punching?
Billy Ray Cyrus was punching me on my mouth repeatedly because of his divorce.
So don't break my heart, my achy breaky heart.
Yeah. Where does the writer of Achy Breaky Heart get off making her daughter making his daughter as forcefully famous as Miley Cyrus is?
Also, just with the end of the film where she performs the climb, I was saying this to you guys. I genuinely quite like that song. And I'm not even a Hannah Montana fan. This is one of the first times I've ever fully heard that song. And I enjoyed it. I was like, that's a pretty ballad. I think it's like nicely structured. I think it's got
fine.
a lot of beautiful peaks and valleys. I get it. And again, if I was 12 and I watched that end sequence of her making this long, meaningful monologue about how she can't be Hannah anymore, and then she starts singing The Climb, I would have like peed my pants in the cinema. I would have been like, holy fuck, this is it.
Why would you have peed
I'm
your
full
pants?
of hormones because I'm so excited and I'm like so enchanted by how romantic it all is.
Do you do that?
No.
You're so excited, you just
Sometimes when I get excited about stuff, I do genuinely need to go to the bathroom, especially when I'm cooking. If I'm about to cook something yummy, I'm like, ooh, I need to pee. And I have to go to the bathroom and pee, and then I feel a bit better.
What?
Do you not get that when you're like so excited by like a task or like something you're about to do? You're like, I have to take a little piss, piss break.
I don't think so.
This is just me then, like fucking idiot.
I have the opposite.
Put my heart on the line and you
When
just
it-
tell me I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I have the
I'm
opposite.
fucking weird.
When there's something that I'm like, ooh, I gotta go out, or I'm like, ooh, I gotta have this important meeting. I'm like, I gotta shit.
So you're a panic shitter and I'm an excited tinkler.
That's it.
That's our new nickname. Did I say dick names?
Yeah.
That's our new nicknames on the podcast is panic shitter and excited tinkler.
I've been looking for a new internet handle. Maybe it should be Panic Shitter.
Panic shitter.
Panic at the Shit Co.
The excited tinkler sounds like a Batman villain. Whoa! Batman! You found me again.
The Tinkler, you're not gonna piss over the city this time.
Think again, Batman. Look to the skies. And it's just piss dropping in huge buckets.
Your tinkly antics will not... You won't get away with them. Hang on. Hang on. Try again. Your tinkly antics will be stopped. And I'm gonna punch you. I don't watch enough of Batman.
Zap. Pow.
Zonk. Boink.
Tag
Badoobie.
yourself. I'm a zoink. I don't have bonk personality.
I'm Kronk.
You're Kronk. I see that for you. But yeah, what I was trying to say is that I think The Climb would have just destroyed me as a teenager. I get it. And I absolutely foresee that most of our listeners for this episode will be a lot of our young millennial female friends
Yeah.
that watched this and lost their shit as well. So if you were personally affected by The Climb, get in touch with me at ratingdescending@gmail.com. I want to
Nice.
hear your Miley Cyrus / The Climb related stories.
Yeah, this is not an anti-Hannah Montana episode, but from my perspective, it is an anti-Hannah Montana the movie episode. Not emotionally satisfying, not good.
No.
Did not.
Do you want to hear some trivia, by the way?
Stupid. Yes, I would
like
love
some
to hear
trivia?
some
Is it trivia time?
It's trivia time.
So with $17.4 million, it had the biggest open
my
day
God.
gross ever for a live action G-rated movie.
I thought, whoa.
Yeah, and actually, to be honest, it says 17.4 million, but I read a different statistic that put it as high as 32 million. So
Wow.
that's double. Maybe that was the weekend grossing.
I didn't
32
realize it was
million.
theatrically released.
Yeah, well,
I
actually,
assumed it was a Disney Channel original movie.
well, that's something I'm going to get to because apparently, I didn't actually write it down, but apparently it was meant to be released on just the Disney Channel. But
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus and Billy Ray were like, no, it's a proper movie, like release it in cinemas. So they were like, oh, okay, they did. And it was a great idea because it grossed so much money.
How the... Oh, man, Disney has changed so much over the last 10 years, like ballooning into this absolute behemoth that owns literally more than 50% of the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
I can't imagine bullying Disney into making your movie theatrically released.
Yeah. Well, they had the status, they had the power.
Which,
They just beat the shit out of them, and they hired the Excited Tinkler for any of their
On
crony
opening
needs.
night.
Yeah. Just dropping buckets of piss on everyone.
gee willikers, Tinkler, you're not going to get away with this. Ah, I'm showered in piss, Batman. Robin, I'm gonna...
Gonna shit.
That's the only way to stop the Tinkler.
You gotta fight piss with shit, Batman.
Is this funny?
Piss to me. Robin, I'm gonna shit.
No, Batman, no! No, Batman! Anyway, more trivia.
Yeah. When the Travis and Miley swim scene was shot, the water was 55 degrees, which I don't know what that is in
that
Celsius.
hot or cold?
I have
Wait,
no idea.
I'm going to look it up literally right now because apparently you did not do it.
It's rude.
12.78 degrees Celsius.
That's not that cold, I guess. It's not warm.
It's
but
cold
not
for
cold.
water. It's cold for water.
So yeah, when the Travis and Miley swim scene was shot, the water was 12 degrees. During the second take, Lucas still had to spend about 90 seconds in the water beckoning to Miley Cyrus, who was having second thoughts. It took 45 minutes for them to warm up afterwards. That's just a little piece of trivia. And the reason I selected that is that I feel like that was entered into IMDb by a 13-year-old fanatic that was obsessed with their relationship because Lucas Till and Miley were like, I think they dated briefly during this filming. They
who
were
is
like
this
closely
boy?
tied.
Why is he dating Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift?
Because he's a Disney actor. He was just in a bunch of Disney shit. They were all incestuous and dating each other. Also, he was dating Taylor Swift as well. And I'm pretty sure he was dating her around the same time. I feel like there was probably so much overlap in the boys that Miley and Taylor dated. Because Miley also dated like Nick Jonas, I'm pretty sure.
How old was he if he was dating Taylor Swift? Because Taylor Swift was not a child at the same time as...
Taylor Swift was like 17 or 18 when Miley was like 16. No, I'm pretty sure they're the same age.
What?
Miley was born... No. Taylor Swift is 3 years older. Taylor Swift was born 1989 and Miley was 1992.
Wow.
So they were 3 years apart, but he was dating both of them.
I've got my Taylor Swift chronology wrong.
How old do you think Taylor Swift is?
I thought she was like a full adult at this time, but maybe this is just older than I thought.
Because she was born in 1989, which means that in 2009 she would have been 20. But she became a sensation around 2008, 2007?
Yeah.
With Romeo and Juliet.
And You
Love
Belong
Story.
to Me and all of those ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So she would have been becoming quite famous around 18 or 19.
But she was already writing country songs before that.
Yeah. She started her career really young.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was like, I think she was like 12 and they moved to fucking like Nashville, Tennessee, so she could like be part of the country music scene.
Yeah.
And she had like already got an agent and everything. I was reading about her the other day because of Evermore,
Yeah.
the new album.
She's good. She's the
cool.
fucking
People love to hate her for no reason.
yeah. Well, because teenage girls like her. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like she's as big as like whatever the biggest pop star of the 80s. She's like the David Bowie of our time.
She really is. She really is. And I think that a lot of people would criticize that statement because she's a woman that makes music for young women.
Well, yeah.
And they're like, fuck you.
Well, and also she makes pop music as if people like David Bowie and
Didn't
the
make
Beatles
pop.
didn't make pop
Yeah.
music.
And actually, this is something I've already mentioned. Despite the new love interests for Miley, Billy Ray, and possibly Lily, none of them appear in any of the remaining Hannah Montana episodes. That's all the trivia I have because it was a very dull little film.
Yeah.
But I've got some reviews for
Okay.
you.
Reviews are good.
Reviews are good.
Love a good review.
I actually selected 2 little IMDb reviews because I couldn't decide between them. Again. But on Rotten Tomatoes, this film holds an approval rating of 44%, which is pretty much roughly what the IMDb score is as well when you think about it. Yeah. The site's critical consensus reads, while youthful Miley fans won't complain, Hannah Montana the movie is little more than a formulaic Disney Channel episode stretched thin. True. And Philippa Hawker from The Age said, a perpetual Disney identity crisis that involves a blonde wig, a prepubescent Vertigo meets Jekyll and Hyde meets High School Musical, which is wild.
Yeah.
Here is an IMDb review. It was left by Ear Thorndal 7.
Oh, I
And it
loved
was-
them in Lord of the Rings. They were really good. They were one of the dwarves, right?
Yeah, no, it was the guy that was dating Legolas. The title of it is You Are All Haters, and it is, again, 10 out of 10. You guys are just hating on the Cyrus. You guys are just hating on the Cyrus for being self-made international stars, and you're jealous.
Self-made.
Stick to the story, people. It's genius. A star having an identity crisis returns home to discover herself. Again, genies. The expression of love, family, and music all in one has rarely been produced so well as in this film. Truly, should have won an Oscar.
Oh my
10
God.
out of 10.
This movie would have been better if there were genies in it.
Anything would be improved by genies. As such, like Genie from Down Under. Remarkable because of genies.
Which is your favorite Cyrus? Miley, Billy Ray, or Cyrus the Great?
It's got to be Billy Ray for sure. Yeah.
That's the worst one. Ah!
Here's another review. This is left by Ryan Storfer -9726627.
Lot of Ryan Stoffers.
10 out of 10 review, and it's called Driving Around in His Car and Getting Out and Taking Pictures and Walking. That's the subject line of his review.
What?
Driving around in his car and getting out and taking pictures and walking.
What?
The review is as such. In the movie, Peter Gunn plays Oswald Granger, who is the guy with the camera and keeps following Miley, who is Hannah Montana, taking pictures. I did not like that part of the story. 10 out of 10.
So it's not just includes a criticism, but it's still 10 out of 10. The whole review is a criticism.
There's nothing positive. Driving around in his car and getting out and taking pictures and walking. I did not like that part of the story.
Yeah, I was not a fan of it. But, you know, it was still a solid 10.
As for my own rating of this film, I would actually give it what IMDb has assigned it. I would give it a solid 4.5 out of 10, which is one of the first times I completely agree with the IMDb rating.
I think it's the second time we've agreed. There was another time we gave it exactly.
Shut up.
I'm trying to,
Shut the fuck
I'm trying
up,
as
Michelle.
hard as I
Shut the
can. I'm
fuck
trying
up,
so hard
Michelle.
for you, for us.
For us, we're a team.
I'm just trying. And you
always
always
try.
don't shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, Michelle. Ugh. What would you give it?
I wonder what the audience is going to make of that. The people who don't live with us. Do they...
Even the people that do. Brooke, what do you think?
4.5 out of 10.
Not what I was asking.
Not
Thanks,
what I was
Brooke.
asking, but thank you, Brooke.
4.5 out of 10.
I don't think it's quite as strong as a 4.5. I think it's like a 4 or a 4.2.
Yeah, no, me too. Like, I don't think it was that strong. Like, it's fine. Like, I agree. Like, it's not even like I would 100%. Like, when I think about it, it's like totally not a 4. It's like a 4.2 for sure.
Our
like,
barometer is that, again, like 5 is a good year, which means it is a passable movie.
I
It is
love
a
that
movie.
our barometer is the very stupid niche, a good year.
Yeah, well, because it is my favorite example of a movie that kind of, it does everything structurally right. It should be a good movie, but everything kind of falls flat. So it's really bland.
Yeah.
It is just the most movie. It's nothing, right? It's neutral.
So you think this is definitely substantially below that?
I think it's weaker enough than it. Like, I think there's things that make it worse than the average movie, but there's nothing that makes it above the average movie. So
what
I
would you
can't make it 4.5. I'm going to make it 4.
I think I'd give it a 4.5 just because of the sheer enjoyment young girls got to get out of this.
Yeah.
I love it for that.
I'll give
And
it 4.2.
Like a little bit of like my little like teenage self was excited by some of the scenes. I was like, I get it. If I was a teenager, I'd fucking lose my shit. I would piss. I would piss. I'm pissing right now,
You don't have to, though.
but I am.
I think one of my critiques is I forgot how much they overact in all of these things. Like
I love
really
it.
big expressions of like big frowns and then shaking the hands a lot.
Super Disney.
She shoos a lot of people in this
Go away.
movie. Which is a quote from my sister Chelsea.
Who has Down syndrome.
Yeah. But Miley really shoos people a lot, both in the beginning and towards the end. She like shoos Lily quite a lot. I've
Yeah.
never shooed anybody like that.
Shooing is such a rude thing to do in general.
So rude.
Every time, I think I've been shooed once or twice, and I've been like, "That's fucked up that you shooed me." But that was Hannah Montana, the movie, and I had a great time. What are we watching next week, Michelle?
Next week we are watching the American remake / sequel to. Next week we are watching sequel to the American remake of Ring. We're watching Rings. Hang on, let me do it again. Next week we are watching Rings. Hang on, I got this. Hang on. Next week we are watching American remake of. Wait, hang on. Next week we are watching sequel to American remake of the Japanese classic Rings.
It's over.
I missed it.